This is a game called Dead or Alive Extreme 3, which is a spin-off of a fighting game series called Dead or Alive. As I'm sure you can see from this footage, the game is clearly designed to titillate. It is clearly an adult game, made for adults and to be enjoyed by adults for whatever reasons they want. I have never played this game. I would never play this game. I have no interest whatsoever in this game. But that doesn't mean I don't think this game should exist. I think if the developers want to make this game, and if there are people who want to buy this game, then they should have every right to do so. Presuming it's not violating the laws in any of the countries in which it's being sold, presuming that the people involved are all adults and all consent to everything that is going on here, I see no reason at all that a liberal society should set itself against the production and distribution of this game. Previous versions of this game have been sold in the West and they've done moderately well, selling over 500,000 units. So why would the publishers now decide that the third iteration of this game isn't going to be sold in Western markets, but would instead be made exclusively for the Japan and Asia market? That was back in November. And now fans are asking them on their Facebook page, any word on bringing the upcoming Extreme 3 game to the US and EU regions? To which their answer is simply, we do not bring DOA X3 to the West and won't have any plan to change in the future. Thank you for asking. And this is where things get interesting, because it's not often that companies will cut off their noses to spite their face in the form of preventing their games from being sold in a market where there is a proven demand for it and they can make some money. Now, Team Ninja have told everyone exactly why they're not going to be selling this game in the West. But before we have a look at that, let's introduce two major players in this little drama. I am, of course, talking about the gaming industry's own pair of fat, feminist, intellectually dishonest chuckle brothers, Bob Chipman and Jim Sterling. And I do want to preempt the comments of, Jim Sterling's a good boy, he didn't do nothing, he's trying to get his life back on track. Don't jump the gun, we're going to be looking at exactly what Jim Sterling's position on this is shortly. But first, we're going to look at the position of Team Ninja. Now, they had previously said that they would bring Dead or Alive Extreme 3 to the West if there was a demand. To which they answered, do you know how many issues happening in video game industry with regard to how to treat female in video game industry? We do not want to talk about those things here, but we certainly have gone through in the last year or two to come to our decision. Thank you. So obviously English isn't that moderator's first language, but I'm sure we can all discern what they're trying to say there. The Western video game industry appears to have apparently, from the outside, become pathologically obsessed with gender politics, and by which measuring stick their games do not stand up very well, because these games are not designed to play into the narrative of gender politics. Does that make them wrong? No. Does that make them bad? No. It just means they are not feminist-friendly games. And they don't have to be. But the last sentence is very interesting. But certainly we have gone through, presumably a lot, in the last year or two to come to our decision. They are saying they have gone through some form of ordeal with the game's press in the West, and this is not a decision they have just come to. So the question is there any reason to think that they're being disingenuous with that answer? Is there any reason to think that this isn't really the case? I mean, we can go back 3 years and look at Jim Sterling's show and find them in exactly the same position when it comes to gender politics and the criticisms of their game based on that.
For us, within our culture, we're showing women like that and we're trying to make them look attractive. We can't help it if other cultures in other countries around the globe think that it's a bad representation. Within our nationality and within our national borders, blah blah blah. He's basically saying, you know, Japan's cool with it, everybody else should be.
It's weird that you wouldn't even do them the courtesy of finishing that quote, Jim. Within our nationality and within our national borders, we obviously have morals that we create our female characters from, but within our Japanese sensibilities, we've made those characters the way they are, and we're not going to stop doing that. And what's ironic about this is that this is a perfectly liberal Western sentiment, until the neo-Puritans have come along to gaming and decided, actually, they find it offensive. Something needs to be done about this. Won't you please think of the women? So after Team Ninja had made this announcement, people got pissed off. This was an actual example of social justice warriors creating an environment in the game industry where a developer didn't feel that they could publish their games in Western markets because of the content of the game. Even though it's not illegal, it's not wrong, it's not immoral, it's just not feminist. So online vendor of Asian products PlayAsia decided to tweet out that DOA X3 will not be coming to the US due to SJW nonsense. However, we will have the English Asia version available, as you would expect an online vendor to do if they can see a hole in the market. Given that they had just tweeted about a hot topic, it was a really popular tweet, and PlayAsia gained around 15,000 followers in the next few days. This of course led to all kinds of conspiracy theories being cooked up by our favourite fat pundits.
But when it comes to gaming, tons of people take obvious marketing bullshit like this 100% seriously.
Now, some people have accused me of making up this controversy from whole cloth in order to gain attention and sucker a bunch of chumps into doing my marketing for me.
Oh yeah, well done guys. You've got them. You've absolutely caught Team Ninja and PlayAsia conspiring together to create the social justice pressure from the games industry just so they could exploit that for sales. That's what they were doing. It's not that you guys are obviously talking nonsense and you are putting the cart before the horse. You're looking at the result and saying, well, wow, that must have been the intention the whole time. What they thought they would do is manufacture at least 3 years of social justice pressure against their company, just so now, when the time was right, they could strike and make all of those sales. Which is, of course, not what Anita Sarkeesian did, is it, Jim? When she does it, it's as honest as the day is long.
Without the harassment and threats, I dare say Anita's project would have come and gone. Even if it had gotten funding, what's the worst that would have happened to you? She'd have produced her series, her existing audience would have watched it, likely agreed with her, and then nothing. Nothing. We wouldn't be talking about it right now. The woman you chose to make your mortal enemy would still be producing videos in her own little sector of the net, and video games would just be video gaming like usual.
Jim, how is that any different to what has happened with Team Ninja and PlayAsia? How the fuck is that any different? If you weren't making a big fucking fuss of these things, then no, this wouldn't have happened. These people wouldn't think, oh, we can't sell our games over there because we're going to get bullied by the fucking press. No, they would have just released it, hardly anyone would have bought it, nobody would have given a shit. You made this happen. But I guess it's not as good as Bob Chipman's conspiracy theory, in which Team Ninja and PlayAsia are in fact Machiavellian masterminds in cahoots to puppeteer the game industry.
Long story short, suddenly a game no one was talking about is suddenly topical, and more importantly, the latest piece of pop culture ephemera you now must throw your money at in order to prove your commitment to frozen stone fruits.
Damn, that's some Don Draper shit right there.
Yeah, it is, Bob. It's also a logical fallacy called post hoc ergo propter hoc, which means after this, therefore because of this. They didn't know that this was going to happen. They aren't Machiavellian geniuses, and they have been repeatedly bullied by a Western game industry that absolutely has been overrun by ideological bigots. For example, let's take a look at the social justice warrior response to PlayAsia's tweet to say that, in fact, they will be selling a game that has been otherwise restricted due to the pressure of social justice warriors. You know, when the company literally said, we're not going to sell it here because we are going to get flayed alive by the social justice press. What was the response? Like fucking clockwork. How to make a complete jackass of your website in one tweet. Oh dear God, are you fucking kidding? Really, PlayAsia? Really? Doesn't look like I'll be ordering from PlayAsia again. Very disappointed. Hey, I used to do business with PlayAsia pretty regularly. That's done. How to lose friends and influence nobody. From a Kotaku writer. Of all people. Holy shit, it's real. Wow. Here's more like shitty retailer attitude, by the way. Cool. Now I know to never order from PlayAsia again. Well, looks like more money saved, or actually because a video game porn simulator doesn't sell too well in the age of the internet. SJW nonsense? Consider yourselves unfollowed and boycotted. This is bullshit behaviour for a respectable business to engage in. The situation has officially jumped the shark for me. Been a customer with PlayAsia since 2004. This seems to be a good opportunity to never buy from them again. Oh, bad tweet. So that's the hill you guys want to die on. Okay. Well, you lost a 5-year customer. Bye.
Why would the Japanese game industry suddenly decide to start caring about Western social commentators in regards to a throwaway title like this?
Good question, Bob. Why would they do that? I tell you what, I'll let Jim answer this one for me.
Because it's marketing 101, guys. If you make a product for international distribution, you have to have a grasp of the reception your product will receive when it's distributed internationally. If Team Ninja made its games just for Japan, it'd be no less creepy, but it'd at least have a leg to stand on trying to justify itself.
Yeah, duh. Do you two pork rinds understand what's happening here? People who have made a game want to sell this game in a foreign market because there are people in the foreign country who want to buy this game. However, these people are encountering a sustained campaign of bullying from moralistic know-it-all busybodies against these companies to attempt to prevent them from selling these games in the market. So Jim, when you make your predictions like...
There's a bit of a war going on right now between those who want gender issues taken more seriously in gaming and those who are upset because they considered gaming a safe male space, and are upset that them damn feminists are ruining everything. But again, I ask, what are they ruining exactly? What are a few debates about sexism going to ruin? Are they going to take away your Dead or Alive beach volleyball massive tit parade? Would that be a loss, even if they did? Which they won't, because so long as the market exists, publishers won't change shit.
Jim, I think it's safe for us to say at this point that your prediction that you thought wouldn't happen has happened. Literally, this has happened. In fact, with the pair of you, I think we can drop the act completely and really address what you're actually doing here. What you are doing here is apologia. You are trying to mitigate and minimize the effect that social justice is having on the gaming industry in the West. Your ridiculous case was they're not going to take your boob game away. That would be ridiculous. Has come to pass. So let's not pretend you're doing anything else other than propagandizing us. We know you are wrong. Everyone can see it. And it's only weird social justice creeps who are the people that are backing you. Even normal people would like to see you go, but they are too scared to speak up about this because the social justice lynch mob might come for them instead of Play Asia. The thing is, I can only imagine that at this point, you know you are lying to someone. I don't know whether it's me, one of your fucking fans, or whether it's yourselves. The people who force themselves to get in front of a fucking camera and spew this bullshit. And you know it's bullshit. You know it. I can see it on your fucking faces when you're delivering your half-cocked crap. You know what you're doing is wrong. You know restricting people's access to media that is completely legal is wrong just because you personally don't like it. You know that it's wrong to be part of a small but very loud minority who will quite happily join in a chorus of jeers to a developer who makes a game they simply do not approve of. You are upholding and perpetuating that mindset, and you should both be ashamed, absolutely ashamed of yourselves. I am really fucking sick of this Puritan mindset, and I am really fucking sick of this memory loss you seem to be having. You seem to think this is the first fucking thing social justice warriors have done in this industry that directly affects either the developer or the consumers you are meant to be advocates for. Don't worry, they're not going to take your Dead or Alive extreme boob game. Well, actually, yeah, they did. What about with Assassin's Creed? Oh my god, there's no female protagonist. The sky is falling. This is 2015. How can this be possible? What about when Lionhead Studios tweeted out a game asset from one of their own games? And they get dogpiled by a bunch of social justice cry-bullies on Twitter to the point where they delete the tweet because they are receiving so much shit over their own game asset. What about the outrage from Pillars of Eternity's hateful joke? Oh my god, Mortal Kombat 10 characters need to be realistically proportioned, or else. Let's have a big sexism debate about Dragon's Crown. Oh yeah, what is it, a video game? We're having a debate over a video game. And a pair of animated boobs. No, seriously. God forbid anything be specifically for adult males as well. That would be the worst thing in the world. Why can't something be exciting and titillating? You don't have to fucking buy it. You idiots seem to think we haven't seen this dozens and dozens of times. What about when Hatred was removed from Steam due to social justice outrage and it took Gabe fucking Newell to get it restored? Are you going to say that that's nothing? Nothing at all there. There's no censorship here. I'm serious, guys. There are huge numbers of examples of this happening. This is something that we just cannot allow, apparently. To the point where Nintendo are censoring their own games. And not only are they censoring, these people are total fucking hypocrites. Look at this. Maddie Myers. Oh, look, this woman's dressed sexily. That's terrible censorship. Maddie Myers. Street Fighter 5's pre-order costume designs look amazing, especially Hot Ryu. And no matter how many changes the game industry makes, nothing is ever good enough. Seriously, these fucks just will not stop. They can't seem to think about anything else when it comes to video games. I mean, and we're not even talking about the gamers are over articles, the gamers are dead articles. Dozens of articles, all released within a short period of time, pushing the same goddamn social justice narrative. And you're going to say that these people don't have a major influence on the industry. Fuck off. You must think everyone's fucking stupid. You must literally not realise how stupid you sound. And then when challenged to turn around and double down on your bullshit, amazes me. I am shocked. I'm almost in awe of your lack of self-awareness. Honestly, Jim, how do you expect anyone to believe you don't think you're lying? You start this Ask FM reply with, nobody is taking the games away. I still stand by that. And then you end it with, it's a shame though, I was looking forward to reviewing that. Why can't you review it, Jim? I thought no one was taking the fucking games away. But look at the rest of what you've said. If you think a few bloggers influenced those corporate decisions, you're an idiot. They are literally telling us that's the case. They are literally saying it, Jim. But who are you going to believe? Me or your lying eyes? Or look at this. They've decided not to localize a game that probably doesn't sell very well in this market, all because it apparently can't handle the criticism it expects. How many excuses do you need to pack into one sentence, Jim? Let's take this bit by bit, shall we? Do we think a few bloggers influenced those decisions? Well, yeah, sure, actually, Jim. This is the traffic for Kotaku. 14 million global unique views a month. What about Polygon? Almost 11 million unique hits a month. You're telling me these people don't influence developers? We know from the ESA that 3% of people are influenced by game magazines. That's 330,000 people every month who could be swayed to buying that game. And you know what's interesting is that that's a very large proportion when you look at the sales. Or, as Thomas Eller likes to put it, the real reason Dead or Alive Extreme 3 isn't coming to the West. Look at that. More fucking excuses. More people who think they know better than the actual developers themselves. This article at least uses the numbers, Jim. The first one sold 590,000 copies worldwide. Now that sounds like a lot to an indie developer like me, but I'm sure it's not to these people. And when you think, okay, that's not even twice as much as the number of people passing through Polygon's unique views who could be interested in buying a game because they're interested to hear what a video game magazine says. That's a huge proportion of their potential audience. And don't worry, I know what the contention is, because Dead or Alive Extreme 2 sold less than half as much as the first one. There must be no market for it. Well, I don't know. I mean, I've got another explanation that I got from a very convincing games critic.
Everybody wins, except probably the players, since, only the first one of these games was any good.
Well, that does explain why the second one didn't sell without having to resort to conspiracy theories, doesn't it, Jim? And I think that debunks almost everything that you've said, except for the one last thing that's all on Tecmo Koei, or however it's pronounced. No, Jim. What you've just done there is victim blame. They didn't go out and look for a bunch of bloggers to terrorize with tits. What bloggers did is saw the game, decided they were going to get in on the action, and go and criticize the shit out of tits in the industry in general. So no matter where it's brought up, no matter who's doing it, boom, down comes the social justice hammer of whiny brats, here to censor everything because they can't stand anyone having fun.
Making the game for worldwide launch invalidates the excuse that it's just their culture and the West is the one with the problem. You don't get to act innocent or shocked that people are criticising your decision to put monster boobs on teenagers when you decide to bring it across the borders. At that point, it becomes your fucking responsibility.
What the fuck does that mean, Jim? Are you saying that they are responsible for their own fucking harassment? Are you saying they provoked the social justice warriors into attacking them by use of breasts, by use of sexy imagery? I might be able to think of a movement for female empowerment that might have an issue with what you've just said and done there, Jim. But more importantly, Jim, they have done nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with a sexy model in a game. Nothing at all. They don't have to take responsibility for the harassment they're going to get. They don't deserve to receive harassment. Take a fucking look at yourself, Jim. Look at what you are saying. Look at what you are defending, and look at who you are blaming for it.
Not sexy, gross, and ew. Ugh.
I could probably go on, but I think I've already made my point. I think it's become obvious that Bob Chipman and Jim Sterling are too biased in favour of social justice to accurately report on social justice. I don't believe they are capable of being honest with their audience, because I don't ultimately believe they are capable of being honest with themselves. I will leave you with a selection of their most ridiculous statements or retarded arguments that I just happen to have left over as clips from when I was preparing this video. Do let me know if you enjoy this montage of bullshit.
Then, suddenly, a few days ago, a Koei Tecmo community manager answered the umpteenth localization question like this. Do you know many issues happening in video game industry with regard to how to treat female in video game industry? We do not want to talk those things here, but certainly we have gone through in last year or two to come to our decision.
That doesn't make any sense. And I'm not just talking about the bad English.
I mean, none of that adds up. Whatever feminist social justice, whatever criticism of gaming is still actively cooking has largely moved on to championing alternatives instead of rehashing eye rolls over sexed-up character designs.
Would that be a loss, even if they did? Which they won't, because so long as the market exists, publishers won't change shit.
Besides, the PS4 is region-free by default, and there's an English version on the Japanese market, so the relatively tiny audience in the US that might want to buy this game can totally get it, meaning Koei Tecmo can pretty much sell the same number of copies that they would have in an official release, but at a higher profit since they won't have to manufacture any new discs, hire a localization team, or even submit to the ESRB ratings.
Culture is no excuse. It's not a fucking excuse. In some cultures, they mutilate the genitals of females.